From Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to the Lucas and Roddenberry franchises, the Martian Chronicles, and beyond, science fiction is undeniably a part of our culture. But what exactly is science fiction? And how do you write a science fiction novel? This series will attempt to answer those questions.
And welcome back, crew. Here we are in another episode of live science fiction with Kate and Adam. It's so good to see you guys again. Tell me, what have you guys been up to in the last couple of weeks? Maybe 3 or 4, actually, hasn't it been?
Yeah, it's been a month. Wow, it's been a month. That's crazy.
Oh, we've been traveling.
Oh, you got something on your shoulder there.
Yeah. He's our Hentipus, our mascot. We got to go traveling to Ontario to do some workshops. Dan, we got we're able to have like in-person conversations with people. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And I see smiling faces, and I see, some brewskis on a table, some wine here and there. But I also see, like, I commented to Kate about that before you jumped on, Adam. I said, like, it's good to see. It's good to see, the personal connections and actually getting face to face. So, tell me about that, Adam. Are you enjoying yourself by breaking out behind the computer screen and actually, getting out there?
Absolutely. There's, I'd say, at least 2 or 3 days a week or out and about doing something, which is pretty neat. We're getting tours of facilities that are opening up. It's like all this innovation that has happened over the last 2 years behind closed doors is now like kind of just like bursting forth, like alien. So it's kind of cool to see. People are excited. New businesses that started. I can't tell you how many times someone's like, I started this thing like 2 weeks before COVID happened. Worst timing ever, but I stayed the course for the last 2 years and here I am. So yeah, it's kind of nice. My friends and I are even thinking of planning some kind of like party bus, like boys' night out, because we haven't seen each other in like really at all in the last couple of years. So,
Is this the Calgary crew mostly, or is it extend outside of your friends are kind of outside of Calgary? What's the?
Most of them are here in Calgary. A few kind of went out to either Toronto or Vancouver, but the vast majority of us stayed here. So it's kind of cool.
You guys were both homegrown in Calgary as well?
Just me.
No? Okay. You were from Ontario?
Caitlin's an import.
High class import.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, how's the science fiction coming along? What is that really occupied much of the brain space, or is it been something that kind of has put on the back burner for a little while?
I wrote some stuff this morning. I had some fun with it. The last month was kind of a write-off because we were traveling all that kind of stuff. It's not really an excuse, but that's just what happened. But I did have some fun with it this morning. It is really interesting, Dan, to go back and read your stuff after a period of time has passed and you've kind of forgotten. And I kind of read through what I'd written and I was like, it's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's okay. So I was like, okay, I am like excited for the editing process because I can just see when I go back in there like what I want to do, right? Anyway, that was kind of cool. And also, I listened to Neil Gaiman Mastermind class. The whole thing was awesome.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's got some gems in there.
He's a fantastic storyteller, and I think the way he hooks you and moves you through the video is very similar to how he actually writes, and something that we can take as a suggestion for how we actually tell the story too, right? You want I've heard that the number one goal is for someone to turn the page, and I don't necessarily write that way myself, honestly. A lot of times I can be pretty esoteric and, not in the I'm not writing foremost for the reader. And that would probably describe why, my writing career is vastly different than Neil's.
Well, one of my favorite things that I took away from that was he was talking about being vulnerable. He's like, as a writer, he's like, when you're first starting out, you can try and copy other people's style or kind of, use other people as like starting points. But ultimately, when you're talking about characters and putting them in stories, you are talking really about a piece of yourself. And if you're not willing to share that, you're not going to be successful. And I thought that was a pretty powerful statement. And then the comic books. I have little or no interest in comic books, but I found that whole section, it talks about writing comic books because in a comic book, you have less words, but the pictures can tell an entire story, right? Like the good artist, but one of the things that was cool was like in a comic book, never put a like critical story element or plot twist on the right-hand page. Always put it on the left-hand page because when you turn the page, you get a sneak peek of the right side before you get the left side. Yeah. So when you're doing a comic book, always put the surprise on the left-hand side. Yeah. Wow, this is amazing stuff. This is so cool. Yeah. And then you'll like this, Caitlin. He had a story about the Sandman, which is his famous graphic novel series. It's about Death and his younger brother, the Sandman, and or her younger brother. And he says at the very end, he had one page left. And his editor said to him, "Why should I care about these characters?" And he had one page left. So he added in at the end this page where like one of the characters' name is Hamlet, I guess. And it's the son of a writer. Anyway, Hamlet is talking about his father and how if he died, all his father would do would be to write a play about it. And like the father's character is Shakespeare. So Shakespeare's son, Hamlet, talking about how his father is always away writing plays, that if he ever died, all he would do is write a play about it. And of course, there's a play called Hamlet. So the last page breaks your heart. And he's like, if that series won an award for any reason, that's why.
That last page.
Yeah. That last page. I was like, wow, cool. Right. So anyway, thank you, Dan. It was very, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. How about you, Kate? Where's your mind at with the novel and the process?
I have been completely delinquent. I've been, down and out.
But I don't want to focus on that part. I know you haven't produced anything, right? I know that.
Thank you. Not anything. Let's be honest. Just nothing on the book.
Nothing on the book, right? Right. But like, where's your mind at related to the book? At if you're going to sit and have a conversation with your family or your girlfriends or friends in general or business colleagues, where's your mind space at? How would you describe the process? How would you describe where you're at in the journey? This kind of thing.
I'm super excited about it, like the book itself, and I love talking about it and the concept and the big main storyline. I'm having difficulty, as Adam knows, execution is not my strong point. I'm having difficulties sitting myself down, hitting the flow, and like blocking out the 2 hours without any interruptions. I'm having a difficult time. So I feel like what I need to do is go somewhere where I can't be interrupted and take like a downloaded version and run.
Funny, I did that on the airplane. So on the way out to Toronto, I was like, sweet, I'll be stuck on the airplane for 4 hours. So I brought my laptop. I was like, just going to write. But sitting in that little chair, you're like kind of squished in there. The front of the seat's like right here in front of you. I was just like, this is not a place to create. It's like I'm feeling like claustrophobic and I'm like kind of in here and there's like the background kind of hum, and then they come by every 20 minutes and bug you about drinks. And like, I couldn't do it. I was like, there's no way it's going to happen for me in this space. So it got me thinking about like where you sit when you're being creative, whether you're writing or whatever, is also important, where you are.
And I don't have any advice for you guys on that. I really don't, because I think that the creative process can happen, from writers, some creators can happen in absolute chaos. And for some people, they need, complete serenity before they can actually, attempt to get into that space, right? So this is one of those things that is, kind of unique to you, but then also unique to your situation, right? I mean, I don't know. When do the muses strike? When are they tapping you on the shoulder? What's getting you to kind of move that piece forward, right? And one thing I would challenge you guys on is that I know that there's always been a leitmotif of an underlying theme, right? Of values, of perspective in your business and professional lives that can translate or speak to what's going on, with the business side of things, right? So let's talk about, before we get maybe into Adam sharing some of the some of the material that he's written. I don't know if you wanted to share some today, but let's talk a little bit about where the direction of the the consulting and the business part of it, and has that changed at all? Is it informing any of the direction of the storytelling that you want to see in the novel?
It has gotten me thinking. We got a new client that has like a virtual learning center in the metaverse. Essentially, you create an avatar and you go in, and it's like, you look at it and it's the beginning. And I can see online now, I'm noticing people are like, the metaverse is a terrible idea. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Blah 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 blah. But it's happening whether we like it or not. So it's kind of cool. We imagine this world where this metaverse is, just how we operate. And we're here, sitting here now, watching it unfold, watching it happen.
Yeah. And to that end, like we've eliminated borders over the last 2 years, essentially. And like this new client, we're super excited about, because they're very consciously building real connections in the metaverse world and trying to replicate connection moments. So it's not like endorphin driven, like likes, shares based content that you're interacting with, but it's real people connections. And so it is the coolest thing to see.
And seeing it unfold is what Adam's referring to. Actually seeing how, and being a part of this emergent phenomenon, if I want, or technology. But that's really cool.
And it's happened. It's coming. It's out there already. It's just the change. People resist change, so everybody's kind of resisting it. You've got the early adopters who are in there playing around, but it opens up a whole new realm of connection issues and the way we treat people, right? There's already harassment happening in the metaverse, and all this stuff's happening in the metaverse already. The worst of human nature can come out, right? People feel protected behind their avatar.
Well, this actually got me really thinking about NFTs, because I've been seeing more and more stuff pop out about NFTs, people trying it, people creating, digital artwork, digital things and all that kind of stuff. And I imagine a world where, our characters, where you kind of live in there, an NFT could be everything. NFT could be like the office simulation that you want to work in. I just buy that, right? I want, I don't know. when people show up to these, there's some kind of like sound bite or experience or like an old movie or whatever is like NFT it, right? So it's like your entire world. Look around your office in a virtual world, everything is an NFT. So when you're building your world, you know, maybe you can build only so much, and then you got to go like customize and buy stuff, kind of customizing your car or something. So it's kind of cool to see, again, NFT. People are like scratching their heads trying to figure out what the hell they are, how to use them, how to make money off them. Now we're imagining a world where that's already happened. It has just more or less replaced physical consumerism, especially if you're like in outer space and you got nothing there anyways, right?
Yeah.
You know, we even joked about like our avatars having Enta branded sweaters. We're like, wonder if we can get that designed. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we're already talking about it. We're like, we're it's so much fun. That playing in that world is so great.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's gonna slow down. Like it was kind of on the uptake with everybody being remote, but I don't know if it's gonna slow down. I hope it doesn't slow down. It is super cool. Yeah. It is super cool. But some of this stuff that's happening in the world right now is like stuff that we've talked about, like happening that led us to where we are, right? Like a group of people who are protesting freedoms because the government is trying to link health things to the greater good of the people, like bank statements and loan and credit lines and interest rates and stuff like that, and taxes. They're trying to link health to that. We talked about that as being a pivot moment in our book that led to this new, you know, dystopian future.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see it happen.
it's crazy to see it unfold, and you guys are commenting on it, right? I mean, indirectly in what you guys are writing, and so there's an aspect of this where I don't know. Do you guys get the same feeling? Like there's an aspect where I'd like to see that book that's in the bottom right hand corner of the picture, whether it's that cover or not. I'd like to see that. I'd like to hold it. I'd like to say, here is what we've produced. And by we, I mean, you know, mostly you guys, right? So, right. No, but I'd like to see it, you know, hit the shelves, so to speak, even if they are only virtual. Right. And so, you know, let's examine two, you know, potential outcomes here in terms of a home stretch for the next 6 months. Right. I mean, literally say, you know what, we're sitting here, we're in March now. And so let's talk about it in business perspectives, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Okay. So by the end of Q3, can you guys accept the challenge to have a completed rough draft done, completed, ready for editing by the end of September 30th?
Oh yeah. I'll take that challenge for sure.
And I think I need to, and you're going to back him up, Kate. But I think Adam, you and I need to have a little bit of encouragement and help for Kate here. I think, right? Because Kate's a good writer. Oh, you are. I really like that pod, that pod episode or the pod description. Right, was really good, and I'd like to see you do that again, right? Okay. I'd like to see you make, you know, a few more of those kinds of contributions. And I know that, right, just like, let's just get something like that put together. And maybe what you have to do is take the lead from Adam. And Adam, can you wear the captain's hat on this? I mean, I got the fisherman's hat. Adam, you're going to wear the captain's hat.
Oh, I don't have a captain's hat with me handy.
Well, no, it's virtual. It's an NFT, right? Now, Kate, what hat do you want to wear? What comes to mind? Because I mean, I've got the fisherman's hat, right? Okay, Adam's got the captain's hat, but it is literally this, because I think there's a little.
I want to wear the Mad Hatter hat.
Mad Hatter hat. You just write some crazy shit down.
Okay.
Just get something down, because I know it's there. I know you've got it, right? But I think sometimes we second guess ourselves in terms of, I know when I'm writing, remember, this is just a rough draft, right? This is just to get, you guys have got it storyboarded. You've got all the raw ingredients right in front of you. Adam's chipping away at it. Okay. Kate's kind of at an impasse here to go, like, he'll keep forging through, right? He'll be like, he probably went to bed last night and was like, oh shit, I got Dan again tomorrow and I haven't done anything. I know I'm going to wake up early and I'm just going to hammer something out, right? Because I'll just get it done, right? It's just an Alberta thing. I'm like, get her done, right?
Get her done.
Get her done. I'm going to get her done, right?
All right, I'll get her done, Dan. I'll get her done.
With the Mad Hatter hat, okay?
That's right.
The Mad Hatter.
That's what I feel like. I feel a little bit like a Mad Hatter.
A little scattered. Like it is. There's a lot of shit going on. Yeah. And I think the story is going to get more complicated, and then connecting the dots almost stops the writing process because there's so much going on. Yeah. So, if you're stuck and it's 3 a.m, don't phone me. Phone Adam.
Hey, hold on. It's only 2 a.m. in BC.
Don't phone me. Phone Adam.
Okay.
Because Adam's a captain. He's going to say, Kate, I want you to write about this. Okay. So Adam, it's like what is this realm of, like addiction support, right? Like, so someone's going through addiction. You have like this person that you've got a phone all the time, right? You're about to slip, right? You're like, I'm going to give myself, I have to do this tonight. And then Kate's like, well, I think I'm going to fall off the wagon. I'm not going to do what I committed to do. So before I do that, I'm going to phone Adam and I'm saying, I'm falling to pieces here. I am not able to do this. And Adam's going to be like, Kate, sit your ass down, and you're going to actually write this, 1,000 words.
So I have blocked 2 hours in my calendar every Friday afternoon to write. And every Friday I get to that time and somebody's booked over top of it.
Yeah, that's usually me. Okay.
Where are you?
All right. I will respect the spot. I think you should name it something else so I don't know what it is.
Oh, F off, Adam. I'm busy.
Yeah. Right.
Let me give you another thing to help you think about this, okay?
Okay.
You guys are really good and accountable for clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it gets booked over top of.
No, right. But think of it as a client, and you have to give a presentation.
Oh shit. Now we're in trouble.
There's so much that you guys have in those two brains of yours that relates this science fiction novel to what you guys are doing. I don't care if the story or the piece, the 1,000 words, the 2,000 words, the 5,000 words that you're going to write tomorrow in 2 days. I don't care if it has nothing to do with the story. Just get something down.
Just right.
And it can be, what did we talk about that blew your mind that just not even 10 minutes ago, Kate? This multiverse or this metaverse, right?
Yeah.
So just immerse yourself in it and fictionalize it.
Okay. I will. It's me cosplaying like I got my shit together.
There you
go. What other things do you think we could do to kind of, pull this together? I don't think we have to, really kind of connect the thing. What was your approach on the writing that you did this morning, Adam?
So I work out for an hour, 2.5 every single day of the week. And what I finally decided was like, okay, I will give up one of those days for writing because I'm already committing the time. That's not the problem. So I was like, fine. Instead of at 6 o'clock in the morning, instead of getting up and, going for the bike ride or whatever, I'll sit down and write. So this morning I was like, okay, today's the day. So I got up and that's what I did. And it kind of worked. I was like, all right, this is how I'm going to keep myself accountable because Kaylin's right. Like our days just run away on us and it's not slowing down, it's speeding up. So, this is already a time of day I'm like unbending on. It always happens. So I'm going to swap in some writing and see if that works. So that is my plan to focus myself on it because it takes a lot of energy to do. If I'm tired or I'm distracted or whatever, it doesn't happen. So.
Yeah. So last time we met, we were talking about creating some content, videos and this type of thing. Where's that plan at with video creation?
We are pressing the Dom button.
Yeah, we got a guy who makes movies on our team now.
Talk about underutilizing a skill set.
Yeah.
So we said, Dominic, I've got almost 20 of these episodes. I would like you to go through like at least one every couple of weeks and pull out 3 to 4 clips. And here are the categories, right? It's advice from Dan, philosophical discussions, or us talking about writing. Pull them out, make them nice. Took a little bit of prompting, but they seem to be on it now. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see something shortly.
Exciting.
So,
okay.
Yeah, we've got a plan for that. Hopefully, once they start getting used to it and pumping it out, then it's an ongoing thing, right? Kind of they're used to me or Caitlin asking about it week to week. Where's my clips? Right. So
that's really exciting, guys. Congratulations. Let's spend a little bit of time at the midway point on this about how fast the world can change. I want to tell you about a series that I'm thinking about doing. I've kind of taken a bit of a break from some of my creative output on my side, but I think it's time to light things up when it comes to Ukraine again, right? And so for me, I'm going to create a series called World War Free. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna talk about the costs of the situation, action in action. But I want to use that as a bit of a talking point between the three of us. I'm really interested in getting what your guys' perspective is on this rapidly changing, unfolding situation that's happening in Ukraine, Russia, nuclear. What are your thoughts on this? And do you see any parallels, or are you using any? Do you think you would use anything, from our current situation in the book?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. There's a couple things there. First, from like personal perspective, I'm struggling a little bit with like how to feel or what to do. I'm largely removed from it living here. I don't have a lot of Ukrainian friends, so I'm struggling a little bit, like feeling helpless, like I should be doing more, but I don't know what to do because there's nothing for me to do. I mean, I can send money, I guess, but like, you just feel like this helplessly passive observer to these horrible things that are happening to these people. So, yeah, I don't know.
I have something to add to that, and I think it's a bit of a breakthrough. I want to share it with you guys in a minute after I hear Kate's thoughts on it.
This, I mean, you could have asked me 5 years ago and I would have said a war's coming. I feel like it's been building. I think this war is being fought slightly differently. Besides the two directly opposing countries, being Russia and Ukraine, they're waging an economic war, right? The rest of the countries supporting Ukraine are waging economic war on Russia, essentially sanctions and, not buying their oil and not buying their products or supporting their exports. And so it's going to be kind of a unique situation, which is going to make huge shifts in the economy. And I think that this sort of instability is what will cause like a serious crash, right? And I think we even have our timeline. I think we talked about that. In our timeline, I can pull it up on Miro. This happens in our timeline. There's an economic war and a huge crash. and essentially plummeting us into, despair, through which innovation is, birthed forward, and we move forward through tech and through like space exploration. And we talked about this in our book's timeline, and it's kind of crazy, but you're seeing it, like the prices of silver, the price of gas is worse for you, Dan, than it is for us, and our government's giving us a nice tax break on ours. So having to move back to Alberta, I think, for you.
Yeah.
Don't drive.
Don't drive.
Yeah.
But Kayla and I had this conversation when this first happened, because I don't think anyone was surprised when Russia invaded Ukraine. They've been talking about it for a year or more. Like, I don't even really follow the news all that closely, and I've heard mutterings of it. But one thing Kayla and I said was like, well, why didn't, the European Union or the Western North American nations, why didn't they try harder to put a stop to it? Why didn't they really try?
Prevent.
It's like, why did they not prevent this? Everyone knew it was coming, Of course, everyone's going to condemn it, from their ivory towers. But then you realize, oh, look, price of oil is projected to go up to $300 a barrel. That's why. And I just felt really sad because it felt right. That's what happened. The rest of the world was like, well, that would be pretty great for us to recover from, COVID and the economy and all that kind of thing. So let's just let this happen, and then we'll deal with it later.
That is sad, isn't it?
Right?
It is sad, but there's so much stuff that this is the frustrating part. We only see what they're allowing us to see. This is why I kind of appreciate platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and where you can actually search and find people who are just sharing the truth. And then who knows, it's their version of the truth. So everything is through somebody else's perception, right? But I heard this interesting tidbit that a week before Russia invaded Ukraine, Putin met with the Chinese government. Yeah. And they're trying to get into Taiwan. And notice we haven't heard anything about that lately. So what other atrocities are happening while we're preoccupied looking over here? That's what concerns me. Is I remember a while back the whole Panama situation where a whole bunch of people were getting outed for tax evasion. Do you guys remember that?
I remember the Panama Papers or something like that.
Yeah. This was starting to get big in the news. Then all of a sudden, there was a whole recession thing, and there was another whole uproar over something else that happened, and it just went away.
Yeah.
In the news, and I'm so super conscious of orchestrated situations that detract attention. Yeah. And so this is what really scares me about today, is that there's so much manipulation. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracist, but we have to question what is put in front of us and why, and where to actually find the truth. And I use the word lightly because it's always somebody's perception of the truth, but we have to just be super conscious of that. Even the Freedom Convoy that happened, there was a ton of uproar about it, but I spoke to people in Ottawa and everyone had a different perception that was different than what the news was portraying, that was different from each other. And it was just okay, so where is the truth? Where is the truth in all of this?
Yeah.
And you get people who jump on the bandwagon and smear the actual cause, right? So it's everything is so convoluted, and it's frustrating because there is no truth.
Yeah. I'm gonna put this word up here. Kate's gonna love this one here.
The way this plays into our book, Dan, is that we talk about blockchain validation of information, but how do you validate a personal experience?
Let's see if I can do this here.
And when we talk about how the computers are going to analyze data, how do they analyze it in a way that's free of bias?
Before we get into that, I want to add this, because this is one thing that you guys poke fun at me about, right? So here's the thing. There it is. There it is.
Yay.
Boom.
So
You got it in, guys. You got it in. Drink. Everybody do a shot.
yeah,
That's what it's going to be. If anybody ever looks back on these series, we're going to do a shot every time Daniel says climate change.
yeah, we're just going to be inebriated, right? Climate change. What climate change?
Hammered.
But I think the only thing I want to respond is that I think that I'd be silly not to understand that there's politicized messaging around climate change, and what Kate was saying before about we've seen rapid unfolding and focus in the media where they're just really trying to wheel us in, like magnetically and otherwise, right? But they're fishing and they're trying to pull us in related to truckers' strike or COVID variant or whatever the big issue is. And now it's on us. You cannot get away from Ukraine, right? I mean, but it wasn't the focus before, right? What happened to climate change? What happened to some of these big conversations that were happening, right? And they've just kind of fizzled off and went away. So I sympathize with that, and I think I'd be an incomplete thinker, I guess, if I didn't really understand that that there's an aspect of politicizing that is at play, when it comes to climate change. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to unfold. I think what scares me about this is that, do we have the capability to wade through the information that we need to wade through in order to arrive at what we feel is the closest representation of truth? And my feeling is and I think it's something like Adam was talking about or referring to, is that we're kind of removed from it, and there's this idea of what personal responsibility that we actually have to get on with our lives. If the paradigm is either focused on climate change and the new world order, so to speak, is going to be, doing things behind the scenes to dramatically upend the way the world is and operates. And we could be seeing the actual unfolding of this with, what Kate was referring to as, if we think that the Ukraine situation started the moment Russia went in or started moving or mobilizing troops, we're kind of being silly here, right? I mean, there's been a slow build up towards this with the NATO allies and possibly not respecting the buffer states and everything. But I think that's just that is a natural unfolding if you really look at the situation. Right now, I think we need to be careful that we're not condoning it on those actions, because at what point do you draw the line and say still bombing civilian targets or putting mines in places are just not acceptable in any situation, right? So let's march him back to The Hague and put him into a war crimes sort of situation. The issue and the scary thing is like, well, we've got a man that's got a trigger finger on a nuclear threat. Again, what does it matter to us if there's nothing that Kate or Adam or Daniel can do in relation to this? So does it make sense for us to get up at 8 a.m. and spend, very much of our time or our lives thinking about that when we should be thinking about what's in front of us, what our families are thinking about, what our business colleagues are thinking about? What really can we do spending time thinking about that? And that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys, is that I think that there's like a mental health issue or a healthy mental approach to some of these topics that really, like, do you guys know what I'm trying to say? Like, what can I really do about it at the end of the day, right? I mean, Can I focus on my responsibilities? Can I focus on my relationships? And that's kind of the best that I can do.
I don't know. Is that the bystander effect, Dan? It's okay because, Adam's not doing anything. I don't need to do anything. Somebody will take care of it. I don't know. Well, I don't know what the right answer is. I always feel compelled to do something and at the same time paralyzed on what I can do. Like Adam said, besides, there's donations that can be made and that kind of stuff. You can do a social post that you support, Ukraine, or but how does that translate into results? And I guess that's where a lot of us get paralyzed, is not knowing what to do. But if you don't take a stance on anything, have you really done anything with your life?
But I think you guys, okay, let's say, for example, on the two things on the shifting of power that's happening in Europe. Okay, number one. Number two, climate change. Just to put these two topics front and center. Okay, if you guys didn't do anything on either two topics for the next 5 years, how would that reflect on either who you are as a person, or what you're doing in terms of building your relationships with your family, or with your friends or your business colleagues? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a bit in there, back to your original question, Dan, about the what did you like, the speed of change or changing with the times or whatever you're kind of saying, right? Like climate change, for instance, right? Electric cars are becoming a thing. You could argue, I guess, as to the benefits or not, or costs to switching from, internal combustion engine to an electric vehicle, and like how far back the chains you want to go, right? But I think, we can only control what we control. I know people, for example, who have gotten rid of the garbages in their house or shrunk them down so that they compost more or things like that. There's also harsh realities like recycling, right? My recycling piles up in my garage because I don't have a blue bin. I'm too far out of the city. And I pile it in my car and I drive it all over once a month and I stuff it all in the bins. But I'm pretty sure that 90% of it just gets trucked to the dump anyways.
Yeah, it does. I watch it go to the dump.
But I still do it.
I take the dump.
Right?
I'm like, hey, look, there's a recycling truck at the dump.
So I think at some point we have to decide that, like, intellectually and, short term, we might say, well, it makes no freaking difference. Why would I do it? Right? It's like voting, But then I think we sometimes just need to take a bit of a worldview and be like, I know it doesn't make a difference, but I'm going to change my behavior because maybe you'll change yours. And right, like, I got to start somewhere. I'll start with myself,
Adam, I think this is like, how I've been talking almost every Monday about how I want to work out and how I just never do. It's kind of like writing the book, Dan. I know, I hear you. But Adam said something to me. He goes, just do 10 push-ups a day. That's it, just 10. That's all you got to do. And I went, ooh, I can do that. And since he said that to me, I've been doing 10 push-ups a day. Today, I did 32.
That's my favorite number, by the way.
You're 10 off of the answer to the universe, but we'll take it. So I think, and I saw this quote and it was so powerful. It's like, it's about doing 100 things imperfectly versus trying to do one thing perfectly. And so I think we have to be a little bit more kind to ourselves and like, yeah, we can have us like take a stance. And if all you could do today was post that you support somebody, maybe that's all they needed to hear.
Yeah.
If all you could do, Adam, was, reuse that bottle to make a birdhouse for your kid, like maybe it's one thing, it's one less thing. But if we do 100 of those, and if everybody does 100 of those, the fact of the matter is we can make a difference. But we got to believe that the one thing will. And it is so easy to be like, this won't. It's so small, it's a drop in the bucket. But if you don't put any drops in the bucket will be empty.
Yeah.
So do 10 push-ups. Do you know what I mean? And I really think that if I don't do any push-ups, I know exactly where I'll be.
Yeah, well said. Okay, let's see if we can pull this all back to the to the science fiction and all this chaos that we're looking at.
Adam, read.
We have 7 minutes. Can you read something, Adam?
Oh, that's funny. Okay, I'll share. Sure. Okay, so the scene is, I can't remember if we talked about it last episode or the episode before, but that
last episode was about sex. Just putting it out there.
I know, it's like the highest rated views on any of the episodes. It's like we just put SEX on the social media, and it's like, ooh, look at that one.
Even my wife watched it. Even Misty watched it, and she never watches any of my stuff. And she's like, so I watched that episode you guys did about sex, and it was like, really?
See?
Okay. So there you go. We need more sex in our book. So,
all right. You heard it
okay.
here.
The scene is last time was that, if you recall, our character is kind of in the metaverse, having some weird kind of hallucinations in terms of how he's interacting with what we call the flow. He's not sleeping. He got yelled at about his boss. He took a stimulant to try and like keep him awake. And now it's like coming crashing down on him. It was a bad choice. That kind of thing. Right? So he's having a panic attack in the metaverse when his boss shows up and gives him shit. Meanwhile, he just got a notification from population control notifying him that likely he's been chosen to reproduce. He's got a message from his son, which has been unchecked. He's just overwhelmed, and he's just kind of having a nervous breakdown. So that's where I started. It was kind of a fun scene to play with. So
yeah.
So here we go. My version of the flow is turning in on itself. Panicked, I grasp a hold of whatever piece of reality I can with vague promises to do better, but there is nothing. All those things I cared so deeply about seem distant and small, and the last thought that runs through my head as tunnel vision closes it in is, I wonder what Ash wanted. That was the message from his son that he never checked. Then there is nothing. So I'm floating on the stream again. I recognize the clouds. Like, this is a throwback to the dream sequence. But this is different. I feel anxious. I try to sit up, but then I remember this is a dream. If I knew what was coming, I would probably try harder to wake up. The clouds are the same. The chicken is there, and for a moment, the sense of familiarity grounds me. My heart rate begins to slow. At least until the awful high-pitched grinding noise. It's like nails on a chalkboard inside my brain, and it hurts. Oh, how it hurts. The dream itself pixelates like a wet towel being wrung out. It takes me a moment to realize that grinding has stopped because my mind is still screaming. There are holes everywhere around me. The head of the chicken is gone, replaced by a black-looking pixel. Trees are misaligned with their trunks, and the sounds of birds keep skipping. It's like the system is trying to buffer itself, but can't. Then I remember the waterfall. The thought is fleeting, though, because the grinding starts again, and my mind vanishes into a void of pain and confusion. This time I black out. The stimulation proceeds without me, and that's probably a good thing. It begins to collapse as the connections between my brain and the flow continue to break down. The waterfall distorts and separates into individual lines of pixels, still trying to execute their intended purpose while the simulation begins to fold in on itself. Meanwhile, my lifeless avatar floats quietly amidst the chaos. It's quite beautiful, really. A metaphor for the chaotic blender of emotions inside all of us. Later on, I'll remember bits and pieces only, flashes of light and dark and pain. But one idea will stay with me, and it will change everything. If the flow is supposed to stimulate human consciousness, how can it be so orderly? That's not like people at all. I awaken to silence, which is shattered by my frantic flailing a moment later. The nano chair shifts its shape to keep me secure, otherwise I would have fallen and landed on my face. Am I awake? Yes, I'm awake. Memories come rushing back, bringing my attention to my pounding head. It's like a throbbing bass drum. Did I take a stim? A red dot on my arm confirms I have. A whole movie of bits of pieces of memory plays in front of me as I massage my temples. It's like waking from a narcotic-fueled bender. The lockbox, Eric's, population control, Ash. What did Ash want? I reach for the flow, but it's not there. Imagine waking up and missing an arm. For a moment, my mind is perfectly clear. The headache pushed aside by more urgent matters. Where's the flow? I stumble out of the chair, my eyes taking in the world around me. I've been cut off. It's then that I notice it. The adaptive polymers of the floor, walls, and ceiling all blink with the same notification and eerie synchronization. The pale green flicker of notification is like a strobe light proclaiming my doom. With a shaky hand, I touch the wall and the message blasts open. A government avatar looks back at me and begins to speak. Her blue and gold uniform crisp and proper. You have been found guilty in violation of Section 42 of the Emergency Health Act. Failure to comply with recommended sleep cycling has flagged you as high risk to the healthcare system. Access to the flow has been disabled. You are required to report to Bay 11 by 0600 hours for transport to rehabilitation facility. Failure to comply will result in additional disciplinary measures. The avatar blinks and the message begins to loop. You have been found guilty in violation. I simply stand there in disbelief. I don't know how many times the message loops over and over and over again. This can't be happening. I can't be locked out. What will Eric think? What did Ash want? My breath begins to heave as my chest. My chest begins to heave as my breathing quickens. Slowly, I sink to my knees, my back leaving a wake of pixels in the repeating message as I sink to the floor. The first time in a long time, I cried.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
There it is.
You heard it here. That's Adam. That's the top of the hour. That's the end of another episode. I want to thank everybody for coming, and I want you to tune in next week. Adam, Kate, please, on next episode, I really would like to talk more about pixels. I think this is a really unique aspect of how you guys approach, speak about, and work with the story. So let's put that on the agenda to delve into the meaning and the significance of the perception of pixels in your experience. And until next week, Kate, Adam.
Yes, sir.
That's me checking out. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Bye.